Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for joining.
Great to see you all. We'll start in a couple of minutes. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Simplify and Amplify, How AI Transforms Brand Management. We wait a few more minutes to let everyone join, so please get comfortable. My name is Olga Lane, and I'm the PR manager of Adamant Branding and Communications. I just want to quickly say hello from rainy Krakow. I'm hosting this webinar from here, but I know that Krzysztof, Alexandra, and Morgan are currently in Amsterdam, where they are participating or organizing some intensive workshops around AI. Mara, where are you joining us from today?
Hi, everyone. I was just writing on the chat. Hello, everyone from also rainy Warsaw.
Okay. So who's not having the Dutch weather today?
I also try to catch up on chat, seeing some familiar faces. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining.
Great to see you all. It's almost 100 participants right now, so thanks for joining. We'll begin shortly. So just let me say a few words about Admind, so our organization. So we're the largest branding agency in Central Europe. We have a global presence, operating in 70 markets. And we collaborate with leading companies, including several from Fortune 500 list. We specialize in branding, and we focus on providing innovative and conscious branding solutions for organizations worldwide. And we constantly exploring new technologies. That's why we are gathering everyone today to talk about it deeply. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hello, everyone. Hi again. Thanks for joining. Just a technical information that webinar is being recorded, and we will share the recording just a few days after this meeting, so we'll all have a chance to get through it again. Okay, I think one more minute and we are ready to take off. You can submit your questions in the Q&A section at any time, and we try to address them as many as possible at the final part of this session. So feel free to submit the questions through the whole webinar, and we'll get to them at the end. Okay, I think we're ready to start. So hello, welcome again in today's webinar, Simplify and Amplify, How AI Transforms Brand Management. My name is Olga and I'll be your host today. We're going to explore the fascinating ways AI is reshaping the landscape of brand management. And we have a fantastic group of speakers here to share their expertise. We'll talk about how AI can play a significant role in strategic brand management. We'll also look into AI-driven content creation, finding that balance between maintaining brand consistency and fostering creativity. We'll also talk about the challenges and ethical considerations that come with adopting AI for branding. And as I said at the beginning, the webinar will be recorded and we'll share the recording with you afterwards. And again, feel free to submit your questions at any time to the Q&A section and we'll get to them at the end of the meeting. So I'd like to introduce our experts first. I start with Krzysztof Langer, CEO of AdMind. Krzysztof has a wealth of experience in strategic brand management and business development, particularly focused on integrating AI into high-level branding strategies. Hello, Krzysztof.
Hello, welcome everyone.
Hi, and we've got Aleksandra Gołąb-Makowska, Head of Delivery at AdMind. She's an expert in managing complex global branding projects and is especially experienced in using AI in operational efficiency. Hi, Ola.
Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to be here.
And we've got Morgan Nicholas Karpiel. She's an innovation and content strategy advisor at AdMind. Her expertise is in content strategy, innovation, leveraging AI to create compelling brand narratives. I'm happy that you're here, Morgan.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And we wouldn't be ourselves if we didn't invite a guest from our partner organization as well. So there is Mara Płacz, head of the Tech to the Rescue organization. She works closely with tech companies and nonprofits, helping amplify their common efforts through AI as well. Hello, Mara.
That's right. Thank you so much, Olga. Thanks for having me here today.
Okay, so before we get to the questions to our speakers, I'd like to kick things off with a quick poll to get a sense of where everyone stands with AI in their current work. You'll see a pop-up on your screen in a second, and the question you'll see, thanks, Wawrzek. How often do you use AI in your daily work? Please be sure it's totally anonymous. It's like for fun and for like warm up. So we'll share the answers with all of you in a second. So we would appreciate if you choose one of the answers. Sorry, guys. I mean, our panelists cannot take part in the poll. Okay, so Wawrzek, can you share the answers? The results? Yes. Are you guys surprised?
Well, quite a familiar group. Group familiar with AI tools and technologies. So good to see
that. Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for the answers. We'll have another poll in a couple of minutes for you guys. Thanks for sharing your answers. So yeah, so more or less the same questions, like a warm-up questions for you guys. So in what areas of your daily work you use AI tools, and what are your favorite ones? Morgan, could you please start, and then we move to each of the speaker?
Sure. I think we use it a lot, or I personally use it a lot in conceptualizing and researching. Of course, you have to be careful about the results you get back. I mean, we all know that if you're using some sort of LLM or something like that, then it can lie to you. So, or it can bring back the wrong results. But for the most part, as long as you're careful, I think it's very useful in researching. I think it's very useful in summarizing data. I think it's very, and I think that the other tools that we have, like image generators, have really helped us to create things like mood boards very efficiently, very quickly, to sort of get those creative processes going. So that's basically, you know, how we use it.
Thanks. Mara, what about you?
Thanks, Olga. I use a lot of tools and also on a daily, whether they're, you know, AI-powered tools or simply AI features within tools that I've been using for years now. That's a different story, but I'm going to tell you my newest discovery and actually fascination, I can even call it. It's called Notebook LM. Maybe some of you know it, by Google. It's a tool that not only summarizes, but it also creates fantastic content based on the input. Just to give you an example, I found a really big report, I don't know, 150 pages report on a topic. I put it into Notebook LM. Notebook LM gave me a fantastic summary, but also generated a 20 minutes podcast episode with two voices having a real conversation and even a debate on the topic of that report. And all of this happened within less than a minute. So you can imagine my fascination when I heard the podcast of voices that really sounded like, you know, you and me right now having this conversation. And yeah, so the speed and the authenticity of actually the feel of the content was fantastic. So that's my Notebook LM is my newest discovery and my fascination.
Wow, thanks. I didn't know that tool, to be honest. So I definitely check it. Well, Ola, what about you?
Well, I think I will not be very original here on a daily basis. I use LLMs, mostly ChatGPT, because for my needs, I think it's the most convenient tool. And you mentioned at the beginning that we are right now in the middle of this strategic workshop about what are our next move when it comes to AI within the agency. And when we were structuring, for example, this workshop, I used a lot of ChatGPT just to, propose some exercises, some scenarios, and I was able to choose exercises which fit my needs the best. By prompting it a bit better, I was able to get better ideas. Would I be able to construct a workshop without it? Of course, but it made the process so much smoother and so much faster that it's actually amazing help during the daily work.
Yeah, thank you. I also used, to be honest, ChatGPT to make up some questions for today's webinar. So, yeah. What about you?
This is very meta what we are
Yeah,
doing
exactly.
right now.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Well, me myself, well, I'm not so advanced as some of my colleagues at AdMind, especially some of our creatives using many different AI tools. But there are some, and of course, ChatGPT is the one that I use on a daily basis. And as Ola mentioned, this is super productive. And my efficiency is much higher thanks to that. I use that to writing messages, crafting agendas, summarizing meetings, and so on. So whenever I also having some idea and thinking how to approach that or what kind of tactics I can think of, it helps me to propose certain options, and then I'm just thinking, which way to go, and then further deeper the conversation with this digital assistant. So it's really fun also to have at palm of your hand this collaborator that you can discuss your ideas with pretty much everywhere and every time, which is super interesting and for intellectual I think exercise is very, very fulfilling. So whenever there's also an information I would like to gather, research, or maybe research is sometimes a big word, but some desk research or certain industries or competitors and so on, I also work with GPT. Recently, I created a pitch deck presentation for a board meeting based on the quick prompt with my idea and some inspirations. It took me like 20 minutes to bring this idea to something which is visualized in a very simple presentation. So that is also a quick way to transfer your ideas into something tangible.
Great, thank you, guys. So, Krzysztof, before we dive into AI's role in brand management, let's start with the basics. As someone who has been in the industry for a long time, how do you personally define brand management?
Well, in context of AI, I would say, because the brand management it's a vast topic, and also if you think about the AI application for brand management, you need to consider different elements or various elements of what branding is. You know? So if you think about those areas or components of a brand, well, let's start with the brand strategy, for example. This is the part which is, of course, we start with the strategic idea for our brand, and this is where AI can be very helpful with data analysis, market research, and of course there are certain advanced data analytics or the tools that you can use to that, and some advanced technology, but it may be also a very simple desk research, which is with AI tools much more easy to create. Yeah? And this is already a good starting point for any brand strategy conversation and discussion. So now I think more people, more companies, more individuals are equipped with the right tool to work with market research insights to actually define certain strategic direction. Yeah? So that's super valuable. Then the next element is, of course, the identity, something which is very close to our hearts and capabilities at Adminds of design and defining brand identities, designing and defining them. And it's both visual, but can be also sound, audio, and so on. And AI tools now also enables us to be more creative about that, to think about certain dynamic brand identities, for example. So we can use the real-time generation to enhance the brand identity or make it more localized, targeted, or personalized. And maybe this is not a super new concept of a generative design in branding, but now with AI you can really enhance that, and you can really make it super dynamic. So it's like a dynamic brand identity on steroids, you could say, to some extent. So that's the identity. Then brand communication, of course, it's an activation. It's a huge part. I think the most hyped, because there is a lot of content creation which can be automated. So a lot of current tools can be used to optimize how you create the content, or how personalized it is. And of course, there is a huge gain in productivity and efficiency. So I think this is the first area that many companies are looking at, how they can optimize their content creation, and this is part of brand communication. But we as an agency, we are also specialized in governance, brand governance, and this is also an interesting area, which may be revolutionized in the future. because as more and more content will be created by different entities, and there is more power to make content more user generated. There will be also an important part of governing that as a brand owners, brand managers. We need to make sure that at least some part of that is brand compliant. So I think this is also something that will be an important area to strengthen in the future.
Thanks. Would you guys like to add anything or comment on what Krzysztof said?
I think that also it's good to view as we do these tools as a way to boost human creativity, right? Because the human storytelling, it does do all of these things for us. It does give us more optimized workflows. It does increase our ability to expand our creativity outward. But it's also really important to recognize that at the heart of it is a human storyteller. You know, the AI is not making a connection with your client. It's not making a connection with another person. You are making that connection, and you are using these tools to do that. And so this is one of the things that I think that we value kind of the most, is that extension of human creativity. So it's coming in and it's taking care of a lot of these things like meeting notes and the arranging for the workshops and things, so that we can get to the heart of what we do, which is to, you know, promote brands, to make sure that they're telling the right story that connects with their audience. So all of these peripheral things that it can do for us, yes, it saves us a lot of time and it optimizes our process, and ultimately it delivers better value to our clients that we can do it this way. But it also, it doesn't, it's not the heart of our story, right? It's never the heart of our story. So this is just, I think, something important to add to that.
Yeah, actually, Morgan, again, if I look back to the last 6 months in my organization, ever since we've been using more and more AI-powered solutions for, especially for communication, like Krzysztof was saying, I noticed that we have more and more conversations about the brand values and the tone of voice, because we have to remind ourselves, what do we stand for? So that we don't just take whatever output comes out there and, you know, put it out in external communications. And it's just actually the effect is that we have more of those really deep conversation. Is this us? Is this what we stand for? Or is it just a really quickly generated output? Yeah. So I think this has changed the way the team works, that we go back to the roots more often than before.
And that's so important, because when somebody asks you, how do you use AI? You know, all of us in companies who support brands, who do things for brands, we're all going to be asked these questions. How do you use it? Do you know there's consequences for using it? How do you mitigate the risks or the consequences? What do you do as a brand? So if you're having those conversations, you're constantly reminding yourself of your values. You're also going to be able to explain that. It's part of your brand story now. So important with AI.
Thanks, Morgan. Mara, actually, today you are here in two roles, important roles for this webinar. As a head of growth of Tech to the Rescue, so as a part of brand management of your organization, but also you are representing the mission of your organization, which connects tech companies with non-profits, offering AI solutions for them. Could you share some examples from the other perspective of yours?
Definitely. And just for everybody on the call today, so the reason why I also mentioned the brand values and mission in my answer before is that Tech to the Rescue was born as a mission-driven organization. We even identify ourselves as a movement. And this really defines everything we do, the way we, you know, speak, the way we attract, the way we keep our movement people engaged, right? And we're a movement of tech companies that was born actually in Poland 4 years ago. These tech companies believe that it's absolutely their responsibility to build tech tools for social impact organizations that cannot afford technology anymore. That was 4 years ago, before AI. Technology was still very expensive, right? So you can imagine today, the gap is even bigger. So this is what we do. We match tech companies with nonprofits nowadays from all over the world, from more than 80 countries, for all kinds of tech projects. We started off with, building websites, building CRMs, data visualization tools, etc. But because it's 2024, we also embarked on the AI era. And right now we do matches for AI projects between, again, the same parties, tech companies, social impact organizations, but AI projects. When we embarked on this new journey with AI, we realized that our old model of just matching, tech and NGO is not enough, because it was super easy to, build a website or create some small automations. But when you start building AI tools for social impact organizations, we need a new element in the mix, which is education. And this has, opened a completely new horizon for Tech to the Rescue, because right now we're actually also an educating advocate for the whole social impact sector about how to use AI, how not to use AI, what are the risks you're getting yourself into, what are LLMs, where does the data come from, where does it go, et cetera, et cetera. Now, having all that work, actually homework done, and making sure that organizations who build AI tools know what they're getting themselves into, I can share now with you some really cool examples, because this is happening, right? Like this, we have to create that awareness, but we want to move forward. So the stories that I carry and that also keep me, motivated and inspired with Tech to the Rescue are stories like AI, which predicts floods in an area of Somalia where ever since 2023, 2 million people had to move house, because two rivers, when they flood, it's like half of our country would be underwater, right? And this is an AI-powered tool built by such a match that we did at Tech to the Rescue. Moving on, it's stuff like AI monitoring crimes against indigenous communities in Latin America, or monitoring crimes involving small weapons in Latin America, which then inform decision makers, but inform also populations about where you want to live, right? These are all stuff that used to be done manually. So you can imagine, web scraping, finding information, having a team of researchers who work 8 hours a day. And right now, this whole thing is done by AI. Yes, there is an error margin in every single process, whether it's human, whether it's AI, but the data output is there and the information is real time, right? And of course, these are, the stories can go on and on. AI that monitors deforestation, AI that monitors wildfires and even predicts wildfires, looking at, patterns of temperatures, what is the flora in a given and fauna in a specific location. But what I'm also really, really excited about, because right now we're embarking in a cohort which is AI for health and education, which are the two topics that are very close to my heart. And within 3 to 6 months, I'm gonna be able to share stories from these areas too. So yes, in my daily work, I do see AI used for good. But like I said, this homework of raising awareness, educating about AI, without this, we would be going in a very, very risky direction.
I'm personally very proud that AdMind took a little part in that AI program of Tech to the Rescue. So
yes, definitely.
Operation.
Definitely, guys. So I'm super happy that when we launched AI for Changemakers, which is right now our flagship program, which we're going to help 100 nonprofit organizations with AI, et cetera. We realized that for this caliber of a program, we need a branding partner. And yes, we've done all kinds of campaigns before, Tech for Ukraine being one of our most famous one. Probably you've heard about it, and Tech for Middle East. And Tech for Syria and Turkey, obviously, a couple of years ago. But AI for Changemakers needed that good branding partner. And I'm really happy that we found you guys, because you captured what we want to do. And also, like, to your also kudos, but also something that we are very aware of at Tech to the Rescue, is that this is the most emotionally loaded brand and branding that we have out of all the campaigns that we've done. And maybe you guys can also talk about the behind the scenes of that process of how did you come up with the branding for AI for change makers?
So actually, I wasn't the part of that team, but I know that we used AI for creating that branding. So everything, you know, is
Yeah, exactly.
about the main topic of today's meeting.
Exactly.
So thanks again for that, and I'm very proud of our team and very happy that we could be a part of it. So yeah, let's move on. Maybe let's talk about some operational efficiency. I'd like to ask Ola, from your delivery perspective, how are you seeing AI enhance the operational efficiency and agility of branding projects?
So from my point of view, we have a major discussion right now about the outcomes because obviously, as it was already mentioned, all of these tools give us like additional creativity boost, not in terms of coming up with ideas, but rather powering us with solutions that can realize our ideas. And I'm not surprised by this discussion because even daily we see on all of the social media amazing creations, which basically blows our minds, right? But what is more important for me is all of the magic that happens actually in the pre-design phase, that it's often not that visible for an end user. And I think that to understand how AI tools are helping us in this and how they help us to be more efficient, the best example is 3D design. I don't know who is among the audience, but for those of you who do not know, 3D design actually consumes some sort of resources because there is a computing needed. So it takes a bit of a time. And imagine yourself in this process where you are getting a brief, you are starting some research, you going through the ideation phase, you have some concepts. Maybe you share some mood boards with customer, maybe you share some storyboards, it depends on the project. And at some point, either right away or after rounds of feedback, you come to the agreement that this is the way we want to go. So we actually start designing, and then we have like first meeting or first email. And then in some situation, clients look at it and see, I imagine it a bit differently. So don't get me wrong. It's not our bread and butter, and it doesn't happen that often, but usually there is some feedback. And 3D design is not a process where you can just quickly make a small change. It's a process where you often need to start from scratch. So in an extreme cases, we have a very, very long process, which consumes a lot of resources to deliver something that at the end of the process, both parties are happy with. And now, all of in the landscape of all of these wonderful AI tools, we are powered to very quickly visualize what is our idea, share mock-up or a preview, not even the design itself, but something delivered very fast to our clients, and agree early on the stage, on the early stage, that this is something that we both really like, and explore this direction, and only then start an actual design. So I'm not even talking about using AI tools to designing. I'm talking about using it before designing, and this is really low-hanging fruit when we are talking about efficiency gains, because again, design might take more or less the same amount of time, but you get to this phase a lot faster and a lot quicker.
That's really interesting. Could you talk about some examples of the tools, for example? brands used by
Of course, I could mention many of them, but the landscape is changing right now so fast that I think it wouldn't be very smart if someone will, watch this webinar in a month, and the recording, the landscape can be totally different. The tools are popping up each week, or the new version of the tools, or AI features, as Mara said, within the tools that we are using. So instead of recommending one tool in particular, or one solution to fit them all, I really recommend to, if you want to power your brand with AI tools, I rather recommend to get yourself someone who really understands the tools and understand the landscape. And because from our expertise and our perspective, it's a totally different thing to be able to work with Stable Diffusion than to be able to use like graphic user interfaces to fine tune the tool to get really on brand results. And this is something that we learn in past months. So either regardless if you're having on-site in-house team or you're working with an agency, if you want to go into this space of using AI tools for brand management for design, I would really at first try to have a partner who really have a deep understanding of the landscape.
Thanks for that. Would you like guys to comment on that? Or we move on?
Oh, we had an interesting discussion today during our workshop here at the office that on the efficiencies and cost reduction and all of that. And there are, various interesting perspectives to look into that. The one, of course, is that you have a quicker process, a more efficient process in many cases and so on. But we're taking an example of a video production for one of our customers, which is a global brand. And, for them, sending crew across couple locations around the world to shoot the footage and then to, in the traditional workflow, produce the end content. It's, very costly. But also, if we are discussing, for example, environmental impact, carbon footprint impact, is also very costly from that perspective. And if you can replace that with digital video production, thanks to the generative tools that we work with currently, you can drastically also reduce the cost, but at the same time have a much lower impact on the environment. So with this discourse on that on AI being very heavy in terms of hardware compute power, that it's very energy demanding, I think there are also different perspectives, and you can look for the solutions which are AI based, which actually have a super positive impact on environment and this reduction of the cost.
Thank you. I already see a couple of very interesting questions coming from our audience. Thanks for that. Just to remind everyone that you can submit your questions at any time, and we'll get to them at the end of this session. So yeah, we wait for more. Okay. Morgan, can we switch to creativity again? You talked about that a little bit. Can we dive deeper into that area?
Yeah, so it's also it's not just us that study this. It's all for instance, Gartner has recently put out a report saying that 80% of advanced creatives are going to be tasked with using generative AI or to challenge generative AI to differentiate, right? So we're seeing that more creative talent is needed rather than less, because if you get into a situation that we sort of anticipate is coming, where most of the content that you see across social channels may be in some part produced by AI, or maybe, I mean, we're all going, when you're dealing specifically with one tool, you may be getting output that looks exactly like what everybody else is getting out of that tool, right? So we have a concern now of how do we differentiate ourselves? How do we stay creative? So this is the part that we know that we need to invest in. We need to invest in people who are not only creative in one way, but they can actually see a lot of different, they're adapting to the tools that are being used. They're sort of soaking them up into their creativity so that they can deliver more, so that they can create stories across lots of different mediums, for instance. So somebody who knows how something can be told visually in a very compelling way is that much more effective when using a tool like Runway, right? Because any of us can use Runway, but somebody who actually knows the right blend, what they're looking for in even just say the lighting of a situation, or how it makes us feel, because we as humans are very responsive to visual stories. We pick up on things that may seem, if you're creating something, it may seem pretty insignificant, whether there's a shadow here, a corner there, a color here, and not a color here. But what you're looking for is creative people who can be boosted by these tools, right? And so and you see that when in larger partnerships that are happening in the media world, in the corporate world. You see companies like Lionsgate partnering with Runway. So Lionsgate has its own share of highly creative people. I don't think it's looking to replace them, because I don't think that's a very good way to tell compelling stories. I think it's looking for a way to boost their creative output. Just like Ola was saying, going through those pre-stages where you are coming up with these incredible ideas, but how do you communicate those ideas? Sometimes they fall flat when you are trying to put them into a brief, when you're trying to tell the client, and this happens, and this happens, and this happens, right? But now we can actually we can create these little emotional experiences for them to show them exactly what the look and feel of an asset, maybe a video or a campaign, what people are going to feel when they come into contact with this material, what they're going to walk away from. We can create these little mini versions, right? So that's very empowering to us. It also gives us a chance, even though this may be a little off topic, but it also gives us a chance for responsible use with the tools that we choose. For instance, 11 Labs, right? 11 Labs is very sophisticated right now, I would say market leader in audio, in AI audio, can create very emotional voices. But how do we justify taking jobs away from people who used to be their living, voiceovers? Well, actually, 11 Labs has now created a platform where voiceover artists can clone their voices and continue to make a living, even in this AI, this AI boosted field, like where it's taking away businesses from places like Fiverr, but it's giving back, or it's taking away income, but it's giving back on these platforms. So we like to use those platforms where real humans are actually involved in making the content that we could use. Well, it's things like that. Did I answer the question, or?
Yeah, more or less. Yes, sure. Thanks. But as we are talking about all the creativity possibilities through AI, and when we are in the era where so many tools are available for everyone, so how can brands still stand out using the same tools as everyone else?
You're looking for great storytellers. I mean, that's what that Gardner survey is telling us. That's what their research is telling us. That's what we're experiencing on our own. Is how do we differentiate our content? You've got to find the good storytellers. You've got to have those in your organization. They have to lead. It has to be the human creativity leading the technology and not the other way around. Why are you using AI? What is your story with it? Are you using it just because it's faster or because it's cheaper? Or are you using it because it gives your storytellers more possibilities? because that's the right way, I think. That's the way where you actually get it to connect, where it's different. If you're telling a story and it's an artificial story because you got it, you know, from an AI and you just sort of blah, 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 executed it, and there's no real human connection to it, then that's not going to be as effective as a human who is trying to connect with another human through a story. Does that make sense? So it's the storytellers. That's how you maintain that's how you differentiate your message, your content from other people's, even if we're all using these very advanced tools.
I completely agree with you, Morgan. It's the storytellers, but I also remind myself on a daily that we are human and we are not equally creative from one day to another. Me, myself, but also if I look at my team, one of my team members can be really creative in generating ideas, whether the other one can be very good at identifying good ideas, so narrowing down, right? Thinking divergently and convergently. And it turns out that these guys found the right tools to help them with their block. And this is the beauty of it, right? Because sometimes when we say creatives, we put everybody in the same, category, but it's not. For some people, it's really, our brains work differently. So what I'm seeing is that, for example, for somebody who has really a difficulty of, having this creative block, etc., they find AI as a really good companion to challenge ideas and to think divergently, open up. And in this case, I'm going to say something maybe not so controversial right now, but in these moments, hallucinations help with boosting creativity. They put you in a situation where you would not even have considered yourself, like having conversations about such absurd situations, right? But this actually boosts your creativity in that moment. And I see sometimes creatives who are overwhelmed with what is happening, and then it's difficult for them to narrow down. And this is when AI can help them find that focus.
Yeah. Yeah, I also agree with both of you. I think it's also that we are now entering the time where every like personally you will be able on your own to create quite a lot of different stuff, right? And you don't need to be expert in video production or design or audio, right? You can use those tools like ChatGPT, like Runway, like 11 Labs, all of the things that Morgan also mentioned, and create amazing brand experiences, brand stories, tell them in a very rich, appealing, engaging way. Something which was before there was a technological barrier, skill set barrier, and so on, right? So this is also can be an exciting and will be an exciting time. I heard the sentence or the phrase Cambrian explosion, that we will experience something like that because of the richness of the content and creation and this creativity coming from everywhere, from every person that will have some idea and now will be equipped with generative tools to actually bring those ideas to life, right? So we may experience quite a lot of interesting ideas coming alive.
Yeah, but I think that it's also worth to mention what Morgan was saying before, with this outburst of amazing stuff, visually amazing stuff. We will also at some point look for more appealing stories. Now, even small studios or freelancers even can produce videos that were, let's say, previously reserved for big companies that have resources to do cinematic photo shoot. Right now, everyone can basically, as long as they understand the tools, can produce that. And at some point, we can get a bit fatigue of watching nice pictures. We will need actual talented storytellers that will engage us with this content.
Thanks all.
Of course, there's also the question of, when does it get too much, right? Because let's face it, Hollywood is a really big business, right? And these guys are not very happy about, consumers being, equally engaged, entertained by productions which are not done, by their teams, right? By their creative teams, with their budgets, with their clients, etc. So this is something that, we see a lot of even lawsuits right now happening right in the States. As far as I know, New York Times suing all kinds of LLMs that, they trained on their text. The same with, movies being used as input for storytellers, because AI can learn how to generate somehow these emotions by replicating good stories that we've seen told over the last years.
I don't know if that's like, in every case that I've heard, it seems like, okay, yes, you can create great images with AI, but how many images did you reject until you got the one you liked? And all of those images were ones that the AI model that thought were great, right? And it's this, and with storytelling, it's very specific. A human storyteller, I'm going to wax poetic here for just a minute, but a human storyteller, whether it's a visual storyteller, whether it's somebody who writes, whether it's somebody who makes films, who does even just or even specializes in audio, these are people who are pretty much as unique as their fingerprints, I think. And it's difficult to replicate that. Every time I've tried to get an LLM to write a story, I know there's some people who are going to push back on this, but it's never been like up to my standard, right? So there comes in that thing, how many times is how is it going to really be able to capture a drama in a certain tone and not go over and not go under? This is an art, maybe, and I'm sure it'll be able to do it at some point. But still, right now, I think the power is still in the hands of human storytellers. I think that we're still the best at knowing what it's like to be human, to appreciate the humor, the absurdity in our situation sometimes, to understand what heartbreak is, to understand how much to say about it, and when is too much, when melodrama becomes humor, right? These are very difficult, delicate lines in some cases.
This reminds me, I'm sure you guys know it, but this reminds me of this fantastic book bestseller years ago, Clara and the Sun, in which, Clara, obviously an AI robot, BFF of a girl who was, sick and dying, she got everything right, but she simply could not understand shame and regret. It was absolutely impossible for her to process that or to act upon that. So definitely there's some dark spots there that simply, it can't get around those corners.
Yeah, it's really interesting if these tools are going to get more into all these nuances you talked about. Yeah, it's fascinating, to be honest. So you've talked about some of the challenges and barriers. We will sum up all of that in a minute, but I'd like to ask Wawrzek for the next poll we prepared for our audience just before we move to the next part of our meeting. So what are the biggest barriers to adopting AI in branding for your organization? So again, it's totally anonymous. In this poll, you can choose more than one answer. We are really curious about the results. We'll share them with you in a minute. So
those are good answers options, I have to say. I'm curious.
Which one of these would you choose, Mara?
No, I can't vote. That
Yeah,
was mentioned at the very beginning of the webinar.
I know, we will discuss it in a minute. So yeah, I think you guys are ready. So if we can see the answers. Okay, let's see what comes from that. So the biggest barriers, data security and privacy concerns. And the next answer, lack of understanding or expertise, cost, or fear of losing the human touch. That's what we have been talking about, and cost of implementing AI tools. So would you like guys to comment on that, or again, is it surprising, or would you add some other answers to that?
No, I think that the answers for or the options here are rather accurate. From my point of view, the actual lack of understanding or expertise is a huge pain point right now. And this is something that really needs addressing, because there is this trend which is called right now bring your own AI to work, which basically means that employees are using AI tools regardless of the fact if there is a training at the organization or not, and regardless if they know how to use them or not. So this poses really a lot of threats, because imagine yourself in a situation where you are a brand manager for huge organization present on a different markets. So on each of these markets, you have like a marketing team and marketing specialists working there, and there is no official principles or no official
Policy.
governing process of what can be or cannot be used when it comes to AI. It's very easy to bring AI to work. So even if you're working on some copy for a social media, it's kind of makes sense to use ChatGPT or Perplexity or any other sometimes. And if organizations are not taking care of the L&D process in the right way, it can very fast go south really, really quickly. And it's a huge threat. So I'm not surprised by answers, and I think that next year will bring us a lot of focus on training internally when it comes to usage of AI tools.
So
Yeah,
your
I think we
agency.
recently
Sorry, Krzysztof. Continue.
Sorry. We shared recently with one of our customers that the prediction from one of the report that by 2026, 60% of chief marketing officers will have to adopt or will adopt content authenticity technology of certain kinds and enhance the monitoring in their communication channels. Or adopt in the way that the brand endorsed user generated content will be there as well to be protected and to protect their brand from something that is not aligned with the strategy and overall brand principles, right? So communication strategy and so on, right? So this is major topic, of course, for the next months and years for sure. How to govern the brand. So.
Guys, have you got any other insights of the challenges?
Well, I think that it's also worth commenting on this Cambrian explosion that Krzysiek mentioned, because with that, the brand governance is even more important than ever, because you have all of these tools to create all of these amazing assets, amazing productions. But at some point, I imagine that there will be so many of it that it will be very difficult to track what you have in your database, who is producing what, and to have some coherence in this process. So right now already we have a lot of cool tech on the market that is focusing on that. Even like, Frontify or Binder have functionalities to manage digital assets at scale. And some of those players already introduce AI driven solutions within their software. I imagine that if they haven't done it yet, they are working on it already. But even if in your organization you don't have any of those solutions, it's actually pretty easy to get yourself a plugin, AI plugin, which will automatically track the created assets and so on. So I think that this is for the next year something that will be those kind of solutions will be popping up more and more.
I think also on that note, just to make sure that your brand story is consistent with how you're using it, if you're taking those kinds of internal controls, people should know about it. Everything that you're doing in terms of your effort for green AI or more sustainable AI, people should know that. That's part of your brand story. And of course, making sure that your audiences know that you are using these tools authentically, that you have controls, that you that you attach values to how you use them. This is very, very important information, and part of, I would think, brand governance, that everybody is on the same page about that, how you use it, when you use it, and how concerned you are that the measures that you take to also make sure the environment, you can do what you can to mitigate any effects on the environment. So
could we just say that, like, choosing this strategy in adopting the AI tools in your brand is like a part of brand management as well?
Exactly.
yeah, it is. And there is a lot of different variation in the models that we're getting. Some very capable models are going to become much smaller and more environmentally friendly, so to speak, to use. And then you have this difference between narrow AI, which is just something that's going to do one thing for you or a series of things. And then the LLMs, the big machines that have these banks and they can reason and they can do math problems. Do you need that? As a brand, do you need that much reasoning firepower, or are you comfortable sticking with narrow AI, which is safer, more secure, and better for the environment? This is a question you have to ask. What do you need and why?
So Krzysztof, as a boss at our organization, so how to, we have the same problems as we are talking about. So how to actually navigate that landscape of AI tools, how to choose what criteria should we use to choose the right tools and so on. Can we give any advice like today?
Well, as a boss, you know how I love the title. Well, I think it really depends on your level of understanding and your current fluency when it comes to existing tools, technology. Your teams, your team, your organization. So you need to answer first that question and then think how to approach, right? Because well, if you're learning how to walk, then first you need to sit, then you need to learn how to stand, and then actually walk and run. So it's hard to go from nowhere to sprint immediately. So I would encourage to make that assessment. and then to decide, you know, if there is already a time to maybe train your own model or do some design your own agent, which is possible already, or it's a time where you need to upskill people in your team, in your company, introduce those tools like ChatGPT or Midjourney or Runway, and try to experiment, right? What we did, we assigned a leader. We have a multidisciplinary team, and this team job is was really this year to test, evaluate certain tools, look for potential use cases, address those use cases, and check what works, what not. And then we are also at the same time building a repository of knowledge, best practices, and kind of validating those tools for others in our agency, which are safe to use and in what kind of cases we are using that and how. And we try to get more people to the full adoption level, I would say, of those tools, right? The other approach is also that you can talk to some experts which have a better understanding of the landscape, because landscape of those tools is very dynamic and it's changing all the time. So it's also hard to follow if you don't have the right focus. So you can partner up with teams that have more knowledge and expertise and actually can help you bring that knowledge to your organization, but also to explore how to address certain pain points that you have, and if it's possible to address them with existing AI tools. And this is, for example, what we do with our customers as Admind agency. We organize those workshop sessions where at the same time, first we share our knowledge, experience, and some use cases from various industries. And secondly, we help to map the potential opportunities and to think what we could address with what tools, and this is our starting point, right? So so this is also a quite effective, I would say, approach you could take.
Mara, could you add some from your perspective? How do you challenge this in Tech to the Rescue?
Absolutely. So I told you what we do for the community that we're building, for the social impact community, the fact that we're taking experts from the field to create that educational platform for them to learn about AI before they start building AI. This is super important. But then as a, brand guardian of Tech to the Rescue myself and, leading a team of marketers, Krzysztof, I believe, to use your analogy right now, I'm really encouraging my team to start, crawling. Not, don't sit still, crawl.
Forgot about crawling phase.
Exactly. We're in the crawling phase, and I'm lucky enough to have, a super curious team who notices all these AI-powered features in the tools that we've used forever, right? And they start playing with that, whether it's, automation, content creation, etc. And having those check-ins about what we stand for, right? The brand values that I told you about. This is definitely how I see my role more and more important about this. But organizational level, we also have an AI lead. This is something that, without which actually as a fully remote organization with people from working in 10 different countries, we would not be able to function. Our tool stack is definitely AI dependent. So this person makes sure that we understand risks and opportunities. And because we are a nonprofit, we work with tech giants. So we are our sponsors, include Google, AWS, etc. These guys have their own ethical AI policies that we are updated with. We know what's happening there, and we have to abide to that. So yes, we do have those type of guardians and standard creators. However, I have to say that I'm very happy with how the poll turned out to the poll results looked like. I'm really happy that people understand, and everybody, I mean, the number one blogger was, I don't understand what happens to my data. So this all actually shows that in history, we're still in a moment right now where we care about these things. We feel that responsibility somewhere on a very, very, right, internalized level. And of course, there's the AI Act, et cetera, but like, tell me how many of us, have actually processed that information, we're still crawling, like Christoph said. And yeah, so this is how we are at Internally Attack to the Rescue.
Thank you. Guys, I have to stop the discussion because we need to get to the questions from our audience. We have a quarter left, so I hope we'll manage to answer most of them at least. So let me go through and I will start. Oh, maybe with the easy one. I don't know if it's any easy. Let's see. Thanks for asking. Thanks for submitting all of them. What are the AI tools that can be used for market research? Can you give the specific
Morgan,
examples?
Well, I think there's right now that like we said, there are more tools coming all the time. So there are ones that a lot of people can use, the ChatGPT or the new version, the O1 preview for research. Of course, it has a data set that's not incredibly present. So if you're looking at something that's happening, before 2023, if this is the information that you're interested in. But we also have traditional non-AI tools for that, So are you looking more for like market research, market segmentation, or something else?
I don't know. There is
Okay,
not
so
the rest of the question. It's all of that.
I think-
Hopefully, we managed to answer that. Let's move to the next one. Let me check. Hello, my name is Frederic from Ghana. I'm a brand and communication specialist. I want to find out, since we are in the age of AI, do brands need to think of creating their own specialized AI tools that is unique to the brands?
I can.
Yeah, go on.
First, these tools are being made for you. So do you need to? It depends on your specific workflow. It depends on what the results that you want to get out of this and how secure it is. Some of our clients can't use big cloud-based, type of things. So if you're talking about a small like AI agent, then of course it just depends on what you want to use it for. So if you don't want to mess with that, the short answer is if you don't want to mess with building your own, just wait 5 minutes, The software that you use right now will be coming out with lots and lots of help for you in terms of AI.
If I may add something to this, I believe that whenever you are figuring out right now if you want to go to this field and build something on your own, first of all, you need to ask yourself a question: why are you doing this? And what do you want to
Achieve.
deliver to your customer? What is like added value? Because the temptation is to have everywhere AI-powered chatbots. It's one of the first solution that comes to our mind with all of the LLMs on the market right now. But if the end user will not understand what added value is there for him, so is this chat has like access to the bigger database than consultant, or is it gathering is it proposing more insightful answers? What is it? So as long as you are not sure of that, I also wouldn't recommend building solution yourself. But there is a lot of very I don't want to call it simple stuff, but on the market right now, there's a lot of LoRa's, so models, pre-trained models that you can fine tune to your needs. And again, I wouldn't recommend for each brand to learn how to do this. But if you can find yourself a partner who can train this for you. So, for example, instead of having a photo shoot, you can have a model that will provide you all the corporate images for your campaign that you need. This is maybe worth exploring, especially right now when half of the people worldwide are working offsite, and it's very hard to organize corporate photo shoots sometimes. So there's a lot of cool features that can help you, but I don't think that everyone needs to build their own AI stuff internally.
So actually, we have a question from Łukasz, which is quite similar. Are you able to onboard, train AI with a given brand manual and make an AI agent that can help employees quickly validate their visual asset against brand guidelines?
Yeah, this is possible, but to some extent. So it's not possible yet, or to my knowledge, to very quickly build a solution that will provide you anything on brand. But it is possible to build, for example, tool which will, as I said, provide you photorealistic pictures of, I don't know, top management based on the database that you will feed them. Or it is possible to create a tool which, based on the guidelines that you have, will able to maybe create a set of illustrations. But we are not yet in the moment where you have this magic box that will do everything on brand.
Thanks.
But this is actually one of my favorite topics because I believe strongly that that those kind of brand agents or brand GPTs is collaborating with people's team, brand managers. There will be the future, and I think this is something we will experiment with. So especially starting with this validation of assets. So training certain models to understand what are the principles, what are the guidelines, train them on existing best practices and existed verified by us assets, and based on that, the model will be much closer to the right validation if the asset is on brand or not. And I think this is something we will try to experiment with. And I'm excited about
Yeah.
Yes, definitely sounds exciting. Krzysztof, I'm also curious. I can be your early tester.
Wonderful.
Great. Okay, let's move to another question. Oh, actually, it's a comment. I'm quite surprised by the poll. For me, the biggest barrier to overcome is the inaccuracy in answers and solutions provided by AI like ChatGPT.
Yeah, but I think that it's the matter of for the purpose you're using those tools for, because as I said, if I'm not a designer myself, so I'm not working on the end product for a client, right? So I'm rather, for example, using those tools for my for the planning, for workshop creation that was mentioned at the beginning. I wouldn't use it for creating a ready copy paste copy for the material for the client. So it's all about the use case.
Yeah, it's also for our creatives, for example, not mentioning ChatGPT, but image generation tools. There's a lot of iterations, right? And one of the challenges is also to get a consistent results. So we are not now working with various technologies. There's this Comfy UI, which enables you to create a certain map of parameters that are then applied to each prompt that you're sending to generative AI, and then this way you are able to achieve more consistent results. So those kind of issues with accuracy, consistency, of course, they are there. But those models are getting better and better as well. Plus, there are additional solutions on top of that will enable us to bring this consistency pretty soon, I think, to the very, very high level of quality, which will be adopted.
I can tell you about a tool that really surprised me when it comes to accuracy, because of course I read the comment and it's also like we accept some degree of lack of accuracy from, it's not like we don't have perfect expectations from them. But a tool that has been consistently providing really nice, accurate results is for me, Read AI. We use it to record and transcribe meetings. And the tool also records video. And for example, when you ask the Read AI to find 3 key moments in that conversation that, about a certain topic or evoke a certain emotion or might be controversial, etc., it's been amazing to see that Read AI finds really, really nice moments during interviews. So this is just an example.
Thank you. There is another comment, actually part of question in the comment I read about a few cases with various controversies around AI. One I can recall now is Air Canada bot posting lies about some of the company's policies. We talked about that before. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, or we move to the last question, I think. Again, yeah, sorry.
Which model were they saying was produced?
I don't know. Once again, I read about a few cases with various controversies around AI. One I can recall now is Air Canada bot posting lies about some of the company's policies.
And this was a really.
I don't know that case. So
no, it also happened with, I think it was either DPD or DHL. Also, we see these cases, and I would like to address that specifically because I think that there were a lot of companies that really rushed to adopt some of this technology, and before we really understood how it was going to function well on your website or as a tool that your audience can use. So obviously they are getting better this year, and probably for 2025, one of their major buzzwords is chain of thought, right? Where we're getting more transparency and how these things are thinking and what they're thinking through. They're starting to map in ways that they didn't understand before, which is not to say that they understand everything. They don't. And it's not to say that these things aren't going to happen, but the way that they are trying to build tools now is with the knowledge that you can't just trust that an LLM is going to not be easily misled, right? So you have these controls within the tools that they use now to make sure that you're getting the best result. Is it always going to be accurate? No. But I noticed that there were a lot of problems in those super early adopters. And even when it comes to brand tools, I was able to be in a demonstration where somebody was trying to build one of those brand assistants, and it started to go crazy after a while. So these tools are still maturing, which is why it's so important, I think.
Crawling.
Yeah. And we can expect that. This is a really big thing. We can expect that for the next year or 2 years, which is why until we sort of get settled into a reality, a new reality, right? So, which is why it's so important to have somebody who's has your back about it, just knowing, make sure that you know the latest information, make sure that you know where this technology is going and what is the best case to use it and when it's not time to use it yet or not time to use it like that. I think that's really important.
Yeah. If I might add a small comment to that, because I think that it's similar also to like diffusion models hallucinating like people with 6 fingers, right? Whenever you're using those tools, you need to assure that there is like a human creative direction or quality assurance or curation even, if you would like to use that term. So obviously those tools are very powerful and can make your ideas real, but these are only tools. These are not magic boxes that can produce everything very accurately. And I think that the governance of that is actually the key to having very nice outcomes, good quality, but still have it checked before you put it out there.
Thank you. I think we are getting to the end of today's meeting. I'm sure it's not the last AI topic webinar we are organizing. So thank you all. Thank you, Mara, Ola, Morgan, Krzysztof, for sharing your insights. Thank you, our audience, for your participation and great questions. We hope today's discussion gave you some new ideas or new perspectives. As just a reminder, the webinar recording will be shared with you shortly. And have a great rest of the day and continue exploring how AI can transform your brand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have
you
a
very
good
much.
afternoon, everyone.
Thanks
You.
for joining. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you again.